jewelry store, happily married. And this is in September. Now, this is to the east of where I'm at. And two of his friends say, let's go hunting. And they go on up to an area called Elk Mountain. Now, as I say before on tours and on lectures, etc., this is not the Himalayas. It's like northern Georgia. Every mile you're going to have a field, you're going to have a clearing, you're going to have cabins, you're going to have Indian bicycle trails, all kinds of paths. It's impossible to get lost there. That's what the lowdown is there. Mm-hmm. So he goes on up there with two pals, and he says, knock yourself on out. Go get yourself some game. I'm going to build a blind. So they camp about 20, 40 yards off of Elk Mountain Road, and Elk Mountain Road leads up to this big repeater up there on at the peak there, Elk Mountain. And they're not roughing it. They got, the Maharaja tents. It's not, darkest Africa. And the two hunters come back, his pals, and, of course, Mel's vehicle's there. It's dusk, and there's no Mel. So they crank off some rounds, no response. They use the air horn, and again, there's no response. So they go to the authorities, and the ranger, then the state police, and they got to wait X amount of hours because New Mexico law is, I guess it's half day or 16 hours. Maybe the guy ran off with a torch singer, who knows what, And then they start the search. Now, there's different classifications. That's the fourth largest search in northern New Mexico history, the largest search in New Mexico. Well, anyway, on this search there, you've got professionals with dogs, tracking dogs, volunteers. You're going to see pictures of me on up there, and pictures of me doing all kinds of things, searching, investigating, on and on with different people on the website.
Well,
that's Santa Fe Ghost and History Tours. And go ahead.
I'm sorry. You got so many missing people in the area where you're at. I mean, since back in 1953, there's supposed to be a alien abduction with Monica Wilson. What's that about exactly?
Monica. Okay. Well, all right. Yeah. All right. Let me say this about
okay.
Mel, and then I'll get into Wilson here. Anyway, they find. They got Cessnas, Hueys. Those are the ancestors of Black Hawk helicopters. They find Mel's tracks, and like 110 yards away from the camp, and they just stop. In other words, he does not go back on his footprints. There's no animal prints around these tracks. No mountain lion, no bear, no spent casings, no sign of a struggle. He just goes. I mean, he just vanished. Now, did he hear something, or was he scared and he went on out there, or did he see something? Just like what I was enticed to, the pogey bait of the baritone voice. What was it? And none of his accounts have been touched since then. No clothing, no bone have been found.
I had a feeling, a strong feeling that came to me since his track stopped and it didn't lead anywhere. I'm just thinking maybe something underground occurred. Is that a possibility? Has anybody ever...
Yeah, you can have, los portales, the portals.
No. I mean underground in the sense of a place that people live underground.
Well, you could have something there of some type of energies that are in the ground, but you're talking about human beings or ETs or reptoids?
Yeah. No. I'm talking about human beings that are maybe satanic, that have an underground shelter that people don't know about.
Oh, okay, I see what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Okay, now there's going to be underground, Luciferians here, but as far as, and I'm sure, and some of the things of people, or some of the incidents of people that have gone missing, yeah, I can chalk that on up to a Luciferian cult or something to that effect. But as far as Mel, no, and others like this, no. I mean, the readings that we get on out there with our different types of meters at times is just mind-boggling. There's something that is just not right as far as the energy fields on up there. But yes, as far as, cult activity, be it for whatever type of demon that they're worshiping and kidnapping somebody. And yes, that does happen. And Santa Fe is, okay, freely translated as Spaz, Santa Fe means holy faith in Spanish. And it was found on out, like in the 1960s when people from, let's say, from the bad element from Hollywood or the bad element from Manhattan, people that got a lot of money came on over here. They found out that holy faith, the telephone line, works both ways. It can go to the angels, to Big G, or it can go to dark energies, Luciferian-type cults. And that's what you were getting at. And yes, there are those type of groups, and I've run into some of them now and then here in the area.
Okay. And how do you... it dates back, I mean, that... the Ditch Witch. Can you tell us about that story? I think that's a. I mean, it's somebody I might want to date. You know.
No, don't. I shouldn't even be laughing about that. For shame. No. That is something that is a.
It's scary.
Yes, and that is a shapeshifter. Now they're going to say that it's going to be a ghost, the ghost of, and her name's La Llorona, the crying woman. And I'm going to say that it's not. And I'm going to say that this is one of these energies, perhaps a jinn, that comes through some type of doorway or portal or stargate, whatever you want to call it, that moves around east of Santa Fe there in the Pecos area. And when this Ditch Witch is seen, she looks at a distance like a very beautiful Hollywood starlet. But as she gets closer, she's a ravaged hag from hell, and she has a terrible scream and moan. And the reason that they call her... Go ahead.
I was going to say, what I heard about her, you could correct me if I'm right or wrong. She had a boyfriend, and he didn't pay too much attention to her, and apparently she killed her kids because her boyfriend would not pay much attention to her?
No. Well, there's going to be different bastardizations of that story. And the story is that she had 2 kids out of wedlock. She was a very attractive woman. This is during Spanish colonial days, Spanish conquistador days. And Santa Fe was a military bastion. It was on the trade route, the Camino Real, and the Royal Highway. And she ended up catching the eye of a Spanish officer, and he had a Fuego affair, and she thought that she's going to be taken back to Spain when this guy's tour duty's on over. But that doesn't happen. At the end of his tour of his duty is, adios mujer. Those are not my kids. So as beautiful as she was, that's how twisted and daffy she was. So she went and she murdered them up there in eastern Santa Fe. They're at the ditch, the Aceque Madre, translated the mother ditch. And then she went back to the Citadel, to the officers' quarters outside of the Citadel. And, of course, the guard had been letting her on in because of this affair, separate quarters. And she tells the man what her deeds, what she had done, and he's trying to put on his pants. It's nighttime, and my gosh, and he grabs at her, tears her sleeve. He tries to put on his boots. She has a head start, and by the time he gets his boots on and is in pursuit and summons a guard, she's at the Santa Fe River. And today, the Santa Fe River is it's not the river what it used to be. I mean, because there's dams up in the watershed. But she jumps into the water there, and it's 10 to 12 feet deep, and she suicides with some scissors. And that's the short version of this ghost.
Now the other part, apparently if you see her spirit, you will die. If you see her spirit, she'll sacrifice you for her kids. If you hear her voice, it's not really a good day for you. Is that correct?
No. I mean, there's been some people that have seen her and they've lived. There's people that have been found dead, and it's not suicide. It's not attacked by a mountain lion or a bear. And they say that she ran into La Llorona. Others that have disappeared, they say it's La Llorona, or it's I say, well, it could also be because of E.T. type of activity, kidnapping, etc. But as far as La Llorona go, you got these skeptics that, just got, room temperature IQ, and they'll say, that story is just about to keep kids on out of ditches so they won't drown. Well, yeah, you can use it that way, but there is such a evil spirit here, a shapeshifter, and it's not a bullfrog. Somebody says, that's just a bullfrog. And he said, hey, listen, man, I know how to live off the land. I know what a fox sounds like during mating season.
Mm-hmm.
That is no animal and heat, baby. That's La Llorona.
So that's how she sounds, but a different type, maybe a high-pitched woman's voice. It's not.
No, it's okay. Well, the best way that I can describe it, it's going to be, there was a terrible movie made in 1976. Maybe it was done better with a European editing. And this goes back so many decades ago with my incident with La Llorona. I see that we're coming up to the hour here, so I'll make this kind of fast here. But the movie was called Helter Skelter, and it concerns the Tate LaBianca murders there in '69 in Los Angeles. And there's this one scene where the Santa Ana winds are blowing down the screams of Sharon Tate and Abigail Folger dying up there on, Cielo Drive, as they're being stabbed to death. And people down the canyon are hearing screams. The dogs are barking because they're hearing this. Roughly, that's what you're going to have: a moan, a scream, and it can be maybe like 110 yards, 220 yards away from where you're at. And you go on out there, and with my experience, what I did with the flashlight, and of course I was armed, there was nothing there. And that's basically what I'm going to say that it sounds like. It's something that you're going to remember until the day that you die.
It's something that would send chills down your back. But let's tell people where they can reach you at your website, www.santaFeGhostandHistoryTours.com.
Yes,
wonderful website, wonderful. And there's one thing on your website I have to ask you about. There's a picture of a Grim Reaper. People weren't sure if he was in the graveyard, if this guy was doing a practical joke or if it was real, if it was a demon. What's the story on that one?
Gosh, which one? I got so many of them there that I've taken in the past or that people have sent me. Which one are we talking about, Sir Spaz?
It's okay. He looks like a Grim Reaper floating above the gravestones. That help? Or if not, I have another thing to move to.
Okay, go to another one, because that doesn't. There's a couple of them that I'll probably give you the wrong one. Go ahead with the next question.
There was an abandoned prison, February 2nd, 1980, with all those things that happened. 37 inmates lost their lives. What's the story on that? That sounds awful.
Yeah, this prison outside of Santa Fe, there was a slaughter, and the prisoners took on over the facility. They ended up going after other prisoners, mainly in this one area where they said that they were either snitches or perverts, or this kind of thing here. Now, they say 37 people died there. There's probably more, because here's what happened. This is back in the days of index cards, and the whole prison was taken on over. All of the, info was destroyed, and numerous prisoners were taken on out and burnt in this pyre. And, of course, back then, you're not... well, even today, they're not going to do too much when it comes to prisoners. This is the lowest form of humanity as far as American police or whatever you want to call it, society thinks that they are. And a lot of these people had been didn't have family writing to them, so it was probably more than that, more than Attica. But right now, supposedly it's the second ranking, of casualties that happened. And the place is haunted, and people were knifed to death. There was, you name it, all kinds of torture. On the website,